Hello everyone and welcome to the first part of this tutorial, and in this one I'll be showing you how to build the home page screen. So this is a screenshot of what you want to achieve. So we have an app bar and a list view. So let's head over to Android Studio and start building this. So back in Android Studio, I cleared the initial application Flutter generated for us. So in the My App class, inside the material app, we could start building. So the first thing I'll do would be to add a title and just give it YouTube UI. Then the next thing will be to pass in home widgets. So the home widgets, I'll be creating a home widget called YouTube main, and this YouTube main is gonna have this. It's gonna be the widget that houses the app bar and the bottom tabs over here. So I'll head over to the project structure and create a new file. A new .dat file, and I'll name it YouTube main. So that stuff popped up because I'm using JIT. I'm working with JIT. So over here in YouTube main, we'll create a stateful widget. And the reason we're creating a stateful widget is because of the bottom tab navigation. You see why. Okay. So the reason we're creating a stateful widget is because of this bottom tab navigation. So whenever I click on a tab, the current index updates. So we're going to be maintaining some states in this widget. So over here in YouTube main, I head up and import the material library. Then instead of returning a container, I return a scaffold. Then in the scaffold, I pass in an app bar. Then I give it a title. Then the next thing would be we'll create a bottom. Okay, no, just the title is enough. The next thing would be to create the actions. So the actions are going to be a list of widgets. So this stuff over here are the actions. This stuff over here at the top right corner are the actions we want to create. So for the actions, I'll create an array of icon buttons. Then I'll pass in an icon. So the first one is the video cam. Let's save this and see how far. So we're having some issues. Let's see why is that. So okay, so remember we called YouTube main, so we have to import it over here in the main.dat file. So when we import that, then we save. So you can see over here we have the YouTube UI at the top corner. So let's continue with the icon button. I'll just copy and paste this. I'll minimize this window and also pass in the onPressed event. So whenever you click the icon, you want something to happen, but for now we'll just make it an empty function. So next we'll make two more, and the second one would be search. Let's save and see that. Cool. Now the final one is the account circle. Cool. So the next thing we'll be doing would be to replace this YouTube UI with the YouTube logo, because from the screenshot you can see we have the YouTube logo over here. So to do that, we head over to our project directory. I've already created an images folder with the YouTube logo over here. So when you could create this folder from your Android Studio, or you could manually create it from your directory structure. So I already have the YouTube logo over here. and you can see it's the YouTube logo. I'll add a link in the description of the video to the site you could actually download this from. So whenever you add resources in your Flutter application, you have to let your Flutter application know about this, and you do that in your popspec.yaml file. So over here we head down to the Flutter category, and you can see the example here. So we could just add images, then YouTube logo.png, then we save. Then we could either use do packages.get, but since it's just an image we added, there might not be need for this. So let's continue with this and head back to YouTube main. So for our title over here, we would add image.assets. So for the image widget, we could actually get images from a network that is online from an asset, just like we just declared in our project directory over here, from a file or from memory. So the one we're going to be working with is images.assets. So over here in our images.assets, we'll just add the name of the image, and that is in images/YouTube logo.png. Let's see if this works. Okay, let's head over to the popspec.yaml and see the mistake I did. Okay, I forgot to give it this title. Sorry about that. So whenever you add in an asset, you have to add it under the assets key. So you can see the example given over here: assets, then images / blah blah blah. So you just have to add that in yours, and you save, and it's automatically running flutter.get. So you can see the YouTube logo over here. So let's continue with the application. So the points to note is whenever you want to add an asset, you have to add this asset key over here and add the list of assets underneath. So here it's just the YouTube logo.png. So enough talk and let's get back. So for the image asset, let's see the configuration, because currently now you can see it's quite big. So we could actually set this. Let's see if it has a size. Okay, yeah, it has a width, so we could give it a width of 98.0 and a height of 22.0. Let's format the code and see. So yeah, this is looking good. So back to this app bar, let's give it a color. That's background color, and we'll just say colors.white. Let's see how that looks. Cool. Then for the icons, we could also give it an icon theme data. Then let's see what you can do. Cool. So pass it the color of, let me minimize this. So pass it the color of colors.gray, and let's see how that looks. Fine. So the application is coming together, and one last thing we would do would be, not the last thing, the next thing to do would be to add a bottom tab navigation. So over here in our scaffold, after the app bar, we add in a bottom navigation bar. So the bottom navigation bar is going to have a list of items. So like the example, like the screenshot over here, so these are the items. You have this home section, the trending, subscription, and so on and so forth. So let's see how this is going to come together. Let's click on the bottom tab, bottom navigation bar, and see what it needs. So you can see it needs a list of, it needs an item. And what is this items made of? These items, let's head over here. Let's see. Okay. The items is of type bottom navigation bar item. So you can see that over here in line 103. So let's head back to this. So from this, we've gotten an idea that it needs an array, because if you head back, if you go to bottom navigation bar, you can see it's a list of bottom navigation bar items. So the first thing to do would be to create an array, which is a list. Then we pass it what it needs, which is a bottom navigation bar item. And what does this stuff need? It needs a title. So the title is going to be a text home. Then the next thing it needs is what? An icon. So an icon, icons.home. Then let's format this with that format. Okay. Then the next thing will be another button. Let me just copy and paste this. We have about 5 bars, I think. Yeah, 5. The next one is trending, then subscriptions, inbox, then the final one is library. Yeah, so let's save this. So we can, the bottom bar, the bottom navigation bar is here, but you can't see that clearly. So the next thing we would do would be to add some more configurations. So let's see. Bottom navigation tab fixed. Then the next thing will be to give it a color, the fixed color. Should be yeah, so everything is coming in place. So let's format our code and see how far we've gone. So I rushed that, but let's finish this. I'll explain. So cool, we have our bottom navigation bar ready. So let me explain what this actually does. So you have this bottom navigation bar as a property of the scaffold widget, and you can see the bottom navigation bar needs a list of items. And the reason, the place I got that knowledge was from when I clicked on this. You control click, you can see requires these items, and these items over here is of type bottom navigation bar item, and it's a list of items. That was why I created this list over here. So this is item 1, item 2, 3, 4, 5. So we also made the bottom navigation bar to be fixed, and we gave it a fixed color of red. That is why whenever we click, but currently we can't click because we've not included the event over here. So you have the fixed color of red, and also let's change this fixed to see the other options we have. Shifting, let's see what that does. I don't know, but I always use fixed. So that is that for that. So yeah, cool. So the next thing would be to add the on-click event or unpressed or untapped event. So whenever you tap on any of this item, the screen should change. So the first thing would be to, let's see the option this stuff has. It has a current index. So the current index means the initial tab selected. So by default, the current index is 0. So if I make it 1, let's see, you see. So initially, the index in that starts from 0. So by default, the bottom navigation bar index starts at 0. That is why the home tab was initially selected. So I made it 1 now. So that is 0, 1. So if I make it 2, subscription select. So, but we're not going to be doing this manually. We're going to do it dynamically. So we'll create a variable over here, an int variable, and just name it current index, and we'll make it 0. Then over here we'll call it current index. So this one is a private variable for this class. So in that, we denote a private variable by prefixing it with an underscore. So this variable is just going to be accessible in this YouTube main class. So the next thing would be to, let's see the options we have on tap. So on tap, what should happen? Let's create a function for that, for this on tap event. So on tap, let's say the properties the on tap function needs. So on tap value changed int. Okay, so cool. So let's go create this untapped function. Make it a private function on tapped int index. So I'll explain what I just did here. So over here, so cool. So this untapped function I created over here requires an index, and this index is going to be passed by this bottom navigation bar. So whenever I tap on a particular index, you should update the current index to that index I tapped. So what this simply means is, if I tap on the 0 index, the current index is currently 0. If I tap on the trending index, it changes to trending. So that is how we actually update states in Flutter. So the next thing would be to change the UI, change the screen over here based on the tab we selected. So to achieve this, in our scaffold, or before that, let's create a list of screens. Let's create a list of screens. So where should we create this list of screens? Let's create it in our build method. So this list is going to be a list of widgets, and I'll just name them screens. Give some space. So this is going to be a list of widgets. So the simplest thing to do would be to just create a text widget, name this home, click Alt and Enter to center the widget, then I'll copy, I'll just duplicate this 5 times. So we have home, trending, subscriptions, inbox, and library. Yeah, so we have a list of screens. So the stuff I want to achieve right now would be whenever I click on a particular tab, the screen should update. So since this is a list of screens, we could actually access them through their index property. So for the body of the scaffold, we're gonna say, let's make this screen private by prefixing it with an underscore. So we're gonna make this screens, then pass in current index. So remember, let's just save this and see how that works currently. So you can see you have home already, we have trending, we have subscriptions, we have inbox, and we have the library. So this is looking good for now. So the next thing, or if you did not get that, so what that simply means is we could, since this is a list, we could access the items. So this home, to access this home is going to be screens index 0, for trending screen index 1, and so on and so forth. So since the current index changes based on the tab I clicked through this untapped function over here, this variable dynamically changes. So if I want to just do this manually, I could press 3 and it should select inbox, but we're doing that dynamically. So now we have this all set up and working. The next stuff we'll be doing would be to actually create this list of videos. So to achieve this, the stuff we'll be doing would be to go create a separate widget. So inside our lib folder, I'll create a new dat file and we'll call it video list. Video list. So what this stuff is going to do is it is going to be responsible for creating this list items over here. So enough talk, and let me just show you what that does. So before that, we're going to create a new folder. We're going to name it screens. And inside screens, we'll create one of our screen, which is the home. We have the home screen here, and let's create one more folder or package. Call this models, and inside this models we'll create another file called YouTube model. So let me talk about this YouTube model first of all. So the YouTube model over here, I'm going to copy this from this. So the YouTube model is just a dummy data I created. So it's just the class that has some members over here. It has a title, description, and some other information that would use to generate this list. Then down here I created a list of YouTube data. So this is the class for the YouTube model where we define the fields, and this is the list where we actually create some instances of this YouTube model class. So you can see here we just have 3 items here because I was lazy. I could not create more. So you can see the YouTube model over here, the data with the title, description, and if I bring up the screenshot, you can actually see this is where I got everything from. You can see the first one, DJ Snake, and some other information. So this YouTube model class would be where we'll be getting the data we'll be using. So in a real life application, we'll be actually getting this data through a web API, through HTTP requests and stuff like that. But for this, since this is just a tutorial that focuses mainly on the UI, we'll be doing this with this dummy model. So let's head back to home. So home is going to be a stateless widget. So this is what I mean. Initially, we just created this dummy, this temporary home text over here. So we'll be replacing it with the home widget. So it's going to be a stateless widget, and I'll name it home screen. And home screen is going to return video lists. I've not created this video list. I'm going to create it next. So first things first, to import the material package. So the next thing will be to create this video lists class, and this video list is going to be a stateless widget too. So let me just return a text to see if this actually works. Hello video lists. Also import the material package. Close down this YouTube data. Then from home, we import the video list class we just created. Okay, so now we have to head back to youtube.main and replace this screen, because initially we just had this text that displays home. So now we're going to replace it with this home.dat. So over here I'll remove this and just home screen. So we import this over here. Okay, cool. So you can see it's showing us hello video list. So what I just simply did here, if I go back to the project structure, initially we had the main.dat file over here, which just returns this YouTube main widget, and this YouTube main widget is responsible for creating this app bar and this bottom navigation bar, and also responsible for rendering these screens. So we also have the first screen, which is the home screen over here, and what this home screen does is that it renders this video list widget. So this video list widget, if I click, it's just a simple widget that returns hello video list. So you can see we're just structuring our application to give it a very good structure, and also to make it in such a way that we could actually reuse code. So Let's head back to video list. So the reason why I'm creating this video list widget is simple. The video list widget is going to be a reusable widget. So over here, this is a video list widget you're actually seeing. If I click next over here, this is also a video list widget in the trending page. And down here, this is also a video list widget. So we're using the same widget in 3 different places. So let's head over and create this widget. So the first thing we'll do would be, since it's going to be a list of YouTube data, we're going to be returning a ListView that's separated. So first things first is, can I reformat this now? Okay, cool. So the first thing first is we're going to get the item builder, and the item builder is just simply the content the list is going to generate. So, and I also explain why we're using this separated. So separated is going to be used to add a divider in between each video. So for the item builder over here, we're going to return a function of context and the index. So we're going to return a column. We're going to return a column. Let's see if this works. But before we do that, let's just do this. Why is it complaining? So many positional arguments. Since it's a column, we're gonna have a children. So these children are, let me just make them this text and just return YouTube data index dots. Let me import this. So this YouTube data, we're getting it from this YouTube model over here. So we're going to get this YouTube data. So the first one is index 0, second one index 1, third one index 2, and so on and so forth. So let me just return the title. So you can see over here. So let's refresh this and see if we're actually making any progress. Okay, so the next thing it needs is a separator builder. So for this separator builder, we're just going to return, let's head over to see what it needs. Indexed widget builder. So let's head back. So for the separator, we're just going to return a divider, height of 1.0. Okay, build context and int. Okay, so let's head back to see the structure of the separator builder. Index widget builder. So index widget builder needs the context and the index, just like how we did for the item builder. So over here, you can see one thing about Flutter is whenever you want to know about how a particular widget works, you could just control and click on it on any property and it takes you to see the definition. So over here, we can see it needs a context and it also needs the index. So I'll be using the shortcut function over here and just return a divider. So what this function simply does is we don't need to have a return statement. Just like over here, we had to include a return statement, but for now, automatically this returns a divider. So since this is just one statement we're going to be executing here, so I'll return a divider. And what does it need? A height. Let me give it a height of 1.0 and also give it a color of gray. Let me reformat this. And finally, I just put the item count so it knows how many items it's going to be producing or is going to be rendering. So I just do item.length. That will get me an YouTube data.length. So that will get me the total list of items this stuff is going to build. So I'll hit save and let's see. And you can see this is looking cool. You can see this is a list of these items. So if I go to the YouTube model, you can see the title, Taki, Pixel 3. So everything is currently working. So let me just do a quick recap of what we've done so far. So we have the main.dat, which is over here, which returns the YouTube main. And the YouTube main is in charge of rendering this app bar, this bottom navigation bar, and also in charge of switching the items in this body. So we also have the home page, which just renders this video list. So so now we are not going to be passing this YouTube data directly in this video list because we want to make this YouTube this video list widget to be dynamic. So we could actually use it not just for YouTube data, we could use it for Instagram data, we could use it for Facebook data, and whichever type of data we want to use. So to achieve this, the first thing would be to create a field called list data. You could name it anything. And the next thing would be to just create a constructor. I'm lazy, so I'll just do this. Cool. So we create a constructor for this list data. So what this means is that if you have this curly brace behind, what this means, it's in that programming language, is it means it's optional parameter, optional named parameter. So we could pass this list data if you want, or we could not if we don't want. So as we progress, you'll see an example of an item where we could either pass it or not. So let me just show you. So if I had created this way and just say this dots list, this is that stuff, it's not just Flutter stuff. So if I do this, it means that this list data must be needed by this home.dat. So you can see it is complaining now, it needs this stuff, like it needs it by force. But if I put this stuff over here, I think, you see, I was trying to be lazy, but now I'm writing the code I was avoiding to write. So if I put this now, this means that it is optional. So if I head back here, you can see no error because now this is an optional named argument. So whenever I'm calling this video list, I could pass in this list data constructor variable, or I could not pass it. So now over here, instead of doing YouTube data index, we'll just give it list data index. So we could remove this YouTube, we could cut it out because we don't need it here, and we could paste it in, okay, yeah, we could paste it in our home.dat. So over here, I could now pass the list data. I hope I'm not going too fast. Probably you'd let me know from the next video. I'd also need your feedback on the pace of this tutorial. If you want me to go a bit slower next time, I could go a bit slower. So let's see the error right now. Okay, just to update this to list data.length. Let's see the error. Let's just restart this, I think. We'll do a hot restart. So whenever you make big changes like this, doing a hot restart can also make you avoid some errors. Okay, so let's bring this stuff down. So now we can see we're making good progress with this. So the next thing would be, like, we don't want this stuff to display like this. We actually want the image, and also we want to make this page, we want to take this page from this into this. So there's something we also noticed here. If we use the ListView.separated, we passed in a divider over here, and if you can notice over here, you have dividers in between each list item. So that is the benefit of using this ListView.separated constructor. So instead of creating this whole divider and mixing it up with your item builder, so you just have a separator builder functionality or property that you could actually just pass in the divider you want. So the next thing would be to remove this, and the first item of this column should be this image over here. So to achieve that, we'll just create a container, and the width of the container should be the entire width of your device. So to achieve this, we'll just use the media query .off, and we'll pass in the size .width. So this makes the container to be the exact width of your device. So the next thing would be the height. Let's just give it a height of 200. So this stuff, I'm actually designing it for the image part. Then the next page, the next property would be the decoration, and we'll pass in a box decoration. So the box decoration is just simply used to add some styling, like you could use it to add border radius. You could also use it to add images and stuffs. So let's just see the properties. You see, you could add a border, you could add an image, a border radius, a gradient, and so on and so forth. So whenever in Flutter you want to add some styling to your containers, or you want to add some specific styling to your widgets, you could just wrap them in a container and add the box decoration and style. So this is just the first time we'll be using this box decoration. In future tags would also be using this box decoration, and I'll show you some cool features this stuff has. So enough talk, and let's just add an image. So the next thing would be to add an image, and this is achieved through the image decoration image, and we'll pass in an image. So the type of image we'll be passing would be a network image, and we'll have the URL. So you could be asking, why should we pass a network image? And I'll show you why. So if we head over to our YouTube model, you can see this where is this stuff? The thumbnail is gotten from an address on the web, and this stuff is gotten online. So you use the network image because you're actually getting it from a network. You're actually getting it from the server. So you use a network image. If you are getting it from your local system, you can use something else. So that is why we're using a network image, because this stuff is going to be gotten from the internet or over a network. So we just pass in the URL. So the URL is going to be list data index dot list data dot index dot am I missing something? is supposed to give me the channel box decoration. Oops, I'm making a mistake somewhere. Yes. Okay, let me just continue doing this. And what's the name of this? Thumbnail, and see the error. Okay, let's just wait and see what happens. Okay, it's currently working. I don't know why the IntelliSense was not working at that point. So we can actually see the decoration image over here. So you can see this list view is actually rendering this list. So there's something I just noticed right now. The width is not actually, the width is actually correct. The width of our container is actually correct. But the next thing is that this image is actually rendering its original size, which is less than the width of this device. And also the height is 200, and this image is also, the height of this image is less than this. So to correct this, we'll just pass in the next property for the decoration image. We'll pass in the fit property, and we'll just do box fit dot cover. So this makes the image cover the entire parent. So you can see now the images are now filling up the entire space. So that is the property. So let's reformat this code. Cool. So the next thing would be, remember this is a column, and what a column does is that it renders item vertically. So this is the item, the first item in the column, the second item in the column, and the third item in the column. While a row is the opposite stuff of a column. The row renders widgets horizontally. So for instance, this bottom navigation bar acts like a row. So you can see the items are placed side by side, while for a column, the items are placed underneath each other. So the next thing we would want to do would be to achieve this stuff over here. And to do this is very, very simple. We'll just use the ListTile widgets. So underneath this container, we'll add the ListTile widgets. So the first thing we'll add would be the leading, which is going to be a circular avatar. Is it circle avatar? Okay, cool. So the first thing would be to pass the background image, and the background image is just going to be a network image too, because we're getting it over the internet. So we have a network image, and we'll pass the list data, get the index, and pass the channel. I don't still know why this stuff is not updating. Channel avatar. I don't know why this stuff is not updating. Channel avatar. It's not. Let's see. Okay. So let's just see if this works. So we can see it's actually showing, but I don't know why my IntelliSense is not working. Okay, so After this, the next thing would be to create a title, which is just going to be list data title dot title. I probably have to just restart index. I just have to restart my Android Studio to make this IntelliSense work. So the next one would be the subtitle, which is also going to be a text. And from this stuff, it's going to be a combination of the channel name, the view count, and the published date. So we'll be using string interpolation for this. So the first thing to do would be to get list data, and I'll tell you why we are using string interpolation. So what string interpolation in that means is you're mixing variables or expressions with string data. So you use the $, you prefix your variables or functions or anything with dollars, or any that variable with the $, then you mix it up with your strings. So I'll show you what that means. Let me just get this working. Index dot list data dot index dot channel title, then channel title, view counts, then published time. Okay, so channel title, so let's just see if this won't complain. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm making silly mistakes over here. So I'm making very silly mistakes. Okay, I'll explain what just happened. The last one is okay, cool. So what I just did was to print out this subtitle text, which is this DJ Snake 50 million views in 2 weeks. So the reason I added all these $signs and all this stuff was because I wanted to have this dot in between each item, and this dot is just a string. So in that, to perform string interpolation, you prefix your variable name with a $sign. But if your variable is going to have some, if you want to like go deep down, or you want to perform, or you want to show an expression, you have to put it in a curly brace, just like this, because of these dots. If I was just printing out list data, there wouldn't be any need for this curly brace. So this is some that stuff over here. So that is that. So refresh. Then the next one would be the final stuff, which is just the little icon at the top. So we'll call this trailing icon. Should we give it a, let's just make it an icon. No need of making it an icon button since we won't be doing anything. So you can see over here. So our video list is taking shape gradually. We can see over here it's actually taking shape. So for a list style, just a quick recap of what I just did. So the first thing was the container. So in the container, we made it the width of your device and also give it a height of 200. Then we also passed in an image from the network and made the image to cover the available space. That was why the image covered everything over here. Then the next item in the column was the list style, which is what we have over here. So we passed in a leading. That's the first item over here, which is just a circular avatar. Then the next one was a title, which is this, and the next one was the subtitle. Then finally we passed in a trailing, which is just this stuff over here. So if we compare this with this, they don't quite look alike. So the next thing from this my image, you could see over here there's some padding to the top and the bottom. So we could just add a padding in our column. Is there a padding property? Nope. So what we can do to this column would be, or not the column, to this list style would be, let's see, we could wrap this list style in a padding, or we could use a property it has, which is content padding, and just give it a padding on the top and the bottom. So only top of its dp and bottom of it dp, and let's see how that looks. Oops, so it's asking for all, so I'll just give it, and let's see how that looks. It's looking good. And the reason I'm just using multiples of 4 or 8 is just from the material design specification. So this is pretty much looking just like this. So one more thing would be to just change the outlook of this text, because from our own over here we can see the text is quite big. And to achieve that, the list style also has a property called dense. If we set dense to true, it means we're creating a very long list, so it's going to like adjust the text size for us. So you can see over here the text size has been adjusted, so it's looking quite small. The next thing we can do to this is just to give a little bit spacing between the title and the subtitle. So we could do it both ways. So for the title, we could just wrap it in a container and give it a padding. We could either wrap it in a container or just use Ctrl Alt and add padding to the title. Let me just go back and tell you what I did. So for this title, we want to add a padding at the bottom, so this stuff could shift down a little bit. So I just clicked on the title text and hold down Ctrl and Alt. Then this option comes. I could now add padding, but I don't want to add it to all. So I could add it and only bottom only. So the only constructor just makes you specify the axis you want to add your padding to. So this is looking good. It looks much. I think I should make it 4. So this is looking good. So I'll bring back this and you can see it's looking quite the same. The only thing different is this trailing icon over here. I think we could leave it like this, or let me just add a margin to this icon to push it up. And we can see that by we can see the structure of this by clicking on this Flutter inspector over here, and we could click this icon over here. When you select the icon, you can come over and click to see the structure. So we can see this icon over here is positioned at the middle. So we could just give it a negative margin to push it up. So the reason I used this ListTile was that it comes with some predefined designs for me, because if I wanted to do this from scratch, I would actually put this in a row, and aligning this stuff would be very, very easy. But since I'm using a ListTile over here, I could just give this stuff a negative margin. So over here in the trailing, I could just wrap it in a container. And before the chart, I could give a margin, edge insets only, give it a margin of bottom. I don't know if I can give it a negative margin. Oh no, I'll give it a margin of 8. And let's see if it pushes it up. Did it push it up? Okay, it's pushing it up, but so you can see the negative margin pushed the stuff up, because if I just comment this without the margin, you can see it goes down, but if I add the margin back, it goes up. So I think we've come to the end of this video. This video was quite long, but we've come to the end of this video, and you can see what we've achieved. So whenever you want to like style a particular widget, you could wrap it in a container, just like this text, this icon over here. I wrapped it in a container and I applied a margin to it. So let's see how this looks in landscape mode. So you can see things don't quite work well. So in the next video, I'll be showing you how to actually make this lists responsive. So what that means is that when I go to the landscape mode or bigger screen, this list should be readjusted. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.